Hello, and welcome to Schmidy's beginning guide on scenarios in Secret World Legends. This guide is targeted towards players who have recently reached level 50 and are just beginning to look at doing the scenario content to help upgrade their glyphs with the glyph distillates that you will be getting from completing scenarios. Right now, there is only one elite rank in scenarios, and we will very swiftly outgear that, unlike dungeons, which are set up to go pretty high up in the gear tiers right now. So as you get way too high in a gear, you can kind of do whatever you want to. But if you have just finished up your storyline and are looking at starting scenarios, or if you are watching this later once we get the Elite 2 through 10 that I'm assuming will happen here, and you've picked a tier that's a little bit more normal for your gear level, these are some tips that are going to help you get through the scenarios a little bit easier. So I'm going to first run through the build and the gear that we are running. This is essentially a cookie cutter of my original solo content build, so we're just gonna breeze through it because it's a lot of the same information. But we do have a little bit different build because I'm running different weapons right now. So as you can see, I am running fist and rifle, and we'll start, I guess, over here on the gear. So it's just all attack rating pieces, mostly with critical rating if you can put it on there. And then we have one hit piece, and you can put on one crit power rating piece if you want to. I'm not sure it's really good. As you can tell, I haven't really invested anything in this glyph yet, but you can. It seems to still be really good, but crit rating is insanely powerful right now. And I'm also running rifle primary, fist secondary. Since the game sort of expects you to be at max level blues and probably purple weapons by the time you do scenarios, we're a little tiny bit overgeared, but we're actually not too overgeared, especially when you take into account the fact that our expertise level with these weapons is really low, so the extra crit chance and crit damage that you would be getting for having a high expertise level in weapons is not there. We lose a lot for that. So let's run through the build real quick. You're going to see this is almost a exact copy. These are just the same skills for different weapons called different names. So with rifle, we are running our single target energy consumer, our multi-target energy consumer, our damaging basic ability. It doesn't have AoE. Rifle doesn't give us an AoE basic, so we're just using the damaging single shot basic. We are running an elite that has AoE damage and causes a crowd control effect to occur, which is, I don't want to say necessary, but incredibly helpful to be able to beat scenarios and solo content in general. Then for our secondary weapon, we are just running Mangle, which is the fist single target consumer. And finally, our flexible skill here is going to be Tactical Retreat, because this gives us a hinder, it gives us a dash, and it allows us to use grenades. So it's really strong in that way, because all of those things will be important in the scenarios, and you can use them to your advantage. For passives, I don't have a lot of passives, to be honest, right now. I don't have anything in Fist that even really helps at all, because I'm not running any of these skills. And in Rifle, I am bringing the first skill that you can get for healing. I would still suggest bringing a little bit of passive healing that way. And then we're just running the things that I've gotten, which are Explosive Expert, which has a cool effect, has a cool synergy with the KSR-43 rifles effect. And then Secondary Explosion for, I mean, it's the only other thing I have on the bar that does anything useful. So that's the build. And we're going to be starting off in Castle here, because I think Castle is the only scenario that isn't intuitive when you start. Because basically it's a wave defense, so you'll be getting those orange squares in the map as you start here. And we're going to start and let the announcer start talking.
This is a seek and preserve
And
scenario.
usually you just want to put yourself between that orange square and your survivors so that
threat.
they can't get attacked.
To succeed,
But
you must keep at least
in
one survivor
Castle in
alive until the
particular,
end of
there
this
are
exercise.
two levels. You see there's
The
stairs here.
location is Transylvania.
So even though there's two levels, your map is a 2D map, which means you
The
can't
current local
tell
time
which level
is
they're coming from
mid-afternoon.
unless you've memorized these waves. Whereas with
You
all the
have
other
chosen
ones,
to
they all
complete this
come on the
scenario
ground
alone.
floor. Makes it really easy to put yourself in between the mobs and your survivors. Another difficult part about this is that the confined spaces sort of can snowball some really nasty effects. Like you can line of sight yourself. Some of the
Initiating
effects of
saboteur
AoEs and
subroutine.
stuff will hit everybody
Vigilance
in
is
your entire
recommended.
area because of the confined spaces are so small. Castle can get pretty snowbally if you're not just keeping track of everything.
Additional hostiles spawn.
Like this one. This
Currently
spawn
moving
can
towards
happen
survivor
from
groups.
the upstairs or the downstairs, and I don't know which one it's going to be. And we just have to sort of stand here and hope that we guessed correctly, because he can either come down this hallway or he can go down these stairs. I don't know which one he's going to pick. See? That time he went down the stairs. So this is why Castle's hard. Interesting thing about tactical retreat, as you see there, even if the grenade is cooked, which my grenades are always automatically cooked, the game seems to have its own internal timer that's still 15 seconds for this skill. So if you use it the first time with a cooked grenade, it'll have a 4-second cooldown, but if you use it again within that 15-second period, it gives it the full 15-second cooldown, so you have to watch out for that. This spawn is downstairs. Here it is. I just ran into a wall, and the wall took away my sprint because confined spaces are
Hostile
fun.
mutator subroutine activated.
Alright, I think we should be able to... Oh yeah, by the way, if these are not strength... Or these little buffs that you get
Explosives detected.
are not strength
Disarm
buffs,
or relocate.
you should pick them up because they'll respawn in about 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, and you have a chance to have them re-roll as damage, and damage is the only thing that matters. Also, each wave gives you some kind of random event that you have to deal with. The one that I got was a saboteur that places explosives. We're going to place this out of the way of my survivors and then run back in and help them out here. We're going to try to get this
explosive
filthy
device has
human to be
detonated.
away from my survivors before I kill it. There we go. And now we're just going to try to play clean up here for a second while I keep everything from going mad. Oh, we're going to kill this guy and everybody. In lower level difficulties, 1 or 2 of those happening isn't a big deal, but I know at least in the original game, in higher level difficulties, if you let a filthy human
Spawning
die
enhanced hostile.
right in the middle of all your survivors, it was a big deal. Bad things happen. Oh, that guy spawned. So some of the bosses, some of the enhanced normal mobs, I guess you should say, will spawn these little locusts. The locusts are kind of buggy. Sometimes they won't notice you,
Alert.
and they'll keep you in
Explosive
combat,
detected. Disarm or relocate.
even though they don't chase after you. And that's bad. Okay, we're going to place this explosive here. Then we're going to run back in and
Hostile mutator subroutine
see
activated.
if we can pick these guys up, drag them back over to this area so that I can just pick things up here. And maybe, just maybe, that might be
Explosive device has detonated.
You can't kill them with that line. We're gonna dash. And I have all of the stacks. Guess that we just line of sight or something. Oh, that was
Spawning
right back to
enhanced
us.
hostile.
Rivals able to cheat a little bit because the AoE occurs from within the target. Oh, and this one is another could come from either direction kind of deal, which is like difficult. Okay, we do have a survivalist coming over to throw another mine down. Looks like they're coming from downstairs.
Alert. Explosive detected.
Should be
Disarm
able to
or
guys
relocate.
because I have my elite up, so I can just sort of. High explosive grenade is really good. You should use it. Like between it
Large
and
hostile
red
specimen
mist,
spawn.
there is no
Be prepared.
comparison. All right, so now we have our first boss. Every 4 minutes you'll have a boss. We do not have that one up yet. What about this one? Up, shield. Nope, we did not get strength. So we did not get what we were looking for here.
An explosive device has detonated.
The strength buff, because that would actually essentially make it so that I can kill this guy before I run out of energy. It's really good. Will not be able to do that this time, but we can have a fair fight with this guy. It'll still be okay. And so yeah, at the end of each one of these waves, you'll have a little boss that you can fight. Run over here, dash back. And that's why we're using single target. See, on the secondary, because I don't want extra AoE. The AoE from my high explosive grenades and my tactical retreat is so good that I just don't need my secondary weapon to have AoE. I want it to do massive damage to one target because those bosses take a lot of hits. Even if you've got the fist buff, which we do not have here. Also, sometimes these things will bug and there will be a buff here, but you won't be able to see it. That might have gotten fixed by now, but be aware that it's possible that happens. Okay, that's an upstairs survivor groups. We're just gonna destroy them with my elite. We should do that pretty much every other wave. And we stand right here and we can just sort of deal with them. So at this point in time, we didn't get the sniper, which is really good because in this confined area the sniper is pretty horrible to deal with. Because he spawns right on top of that dresser right there, so he can hit you from virtually everywhere you want to be. And this is the only one of the maps in which that's the case. And all the other ones you can line of sight with the sniper, and also stay close to your survivors. So at this point in time, you're sort of seeing how the build works and how scenarios work. We just sort of pick up those bombs, deal with whatever random event that occurs, and some of them are in your favor. Some of the random events that occur will actually be to your advantage, like healing your allies or giving yourself a healing drone.
Alert. Explosive detected.
Oh,
disarm or relocate. Hostile mutator subroutine activated.
I am used to the announcer not telling us every single time that there's a bomb, so I am trying to stay close to the survivors. They have actually fixed that, which is pretty wonderful. Alright, we leave our explosive there in hopes that the spawns will maintain themselves in this area long enough that I can get some kind of boost out of it. Just sort of run over here, see if I can...
An explosive device has detonated.
Alright, that was just for fun, to show that you can have those bombs actually be in your favor, even though they are definitely a negative random event. But yeah, just deal with the random event. It's some kind of small thing. Sometimes it's don't stand in the circles, sometimes it's a sniper, sometimes it's these guys. Alright, that spawn is downstairs. We should
alert. Explosive
barely
detected.
not have enough time to pick this up and throw it where we want to go, but that's fine. Ah, and you can see this re-rolled as strength, so for the final boss here I will actually have a strength one, which is pretty great. Okay, everything explodes now. Okay, nope. That explosive grenade basically just finishes off a mob.
An explosive device has detonated.
These guys with one of them. That would have almost finished them off. Be careful that when you are dashing, you don't accidentally dash into this before the boss appears, or else you will be really sad. Because this helps you, it basically lets you do double damage. It helps a lot when dealing with the boss mobs. My explosive grenade is really good. In case you haven't figured that out by now, with it just wiping out the entire wave every time I use it.
Alert. Explosive detected. Disarm or relocate.
That guy is actually a really slow guy, so I might have enough time to pick this up, move it all the way back over here, put it down, and shoot him before he gets to the survivors. I do, in fact. I have enough time to do all of those things. I'm gonna stun him with my gadget here so that he doesn't get to lay horrible things down.
An explosive device
that also hurts you if you get hit by it. But our passive healing should be enough to just keep us alive through all this. And now, with the second wave ending, we got our final boss, which is a Paduri. The Paduri is actually horrible. I'm trying to load a grenade so that I can dash, but that's not happening. Just want to get him out of this area that everybody's in. You want to bring him over to, yeah, over here. really just trying to slot a grenade with the spirits, because the spirits are buffing him to make it so that I can't do damage. Yeah, look at the healing. Just from that one passive that we have. That's why I like the passives for healing, because they're just effective. Like, he can't out-damage that passive from this one thing. Oh, and we got a boom. We got Carter helping us out over here. If I was paying attention, what by now? And this is basically the fight. Like, also the Paduri is absolutely the single worst boss to fight, because you have to deal with the spirits. And if you don't know that you have to deal with the spirits before you can fight the Paduri, that also will make your life pretty miserable. And there's nothing else that's that difficult and unintuitive in scenarios. So Castle's just the hardest all around, which is why I wanted to try to show you that one. And that's essentially what you do. Just put yourself between the orange squares and your survivors, deal with whatever mechanics there are with the random events, and then try to cycle these buffs that you have here until you get strength, so that you'll have strength up for the boss. It'll help out a lot, assuming that you don't, get a Paduri that's invincible until you have spirits all gotten rid of. But there you go. You usually get 3 glyph distillates and 1 glyph reward bag. The glyph reward bag doesn't seem to be any better than the regular ones, but it's still a bunch of free glyph experience for you for scenarios. And I hope this guide helps you out so that you can get all your glyphs up. And I will be waiting for some of the new content to come out for new guides soon. I hope to see you there.